Okay, so let's continue on. We're looking at number 3. So you've done 1 and 2. 3 says construct a parallelogram with 4 right angles. Okay, so if it has 4 right angles, that means that each of those are 90 degrees. So we're going to do 4 right angles. Well, there's one. And then I need to draw this one perpendicular to that one. Okay, so there's an example. Each of these are right angles. I can tell because if I took a piece of paper and I stuck them in the corners, it should form a perfect right angle. Okay, or you might have drawn something like this. Well, this also has 4 right angles and the 4 sides. Okay, so is it a parallelogram? Well, parallelogram has 2 pairs of parallel sides, yes, and it has 4 sides total. And did we draw in the 4 right angles? Yeah. So when we have these like this and they make right angles, we're going to call this a rectangle. Okay, so I'm going to write rectangle. So notice a rectangle has the 4 sides. It also has the 2 pairs of parallel sides, so it's also a parallelogram, right? Does it have at least 1 pair? Yep, it's also a trapezoid. Okay. Now notice on here, some of you may be thinking, well, that's a square, but look, by definition, does it have 4 sides? Are they 4 right angles? Yes. Okay, so a square is a rectangle. So a parallelogram, a trapezoid, and a square are all, a rectangle can be considered all of those. It's all quadrilateral. All right, so that's number 3. Let's do number 4. 4 says construct a rectangle with all sides the same length. So this time you have to be really careful to make sure that all your sides are exactly the same length. So I'm just going to use my protractor and start at the end and go to 1. And then I'm going to make an intersecting line here to form that right angle to the 1. I'm going to do the same up here, trying to make it straight. And then 1 here. I'm going to make them all exactly the same size, because that's what it said to do, right? Okay, so this is, and they all have the 90 degrees, right? All the sides are exactly equal in length, okay? So we call this special rectangle a square. So we're going to call it a special rectangle, because remember, it is a rectangle. It's called a square. Okay, so on a square, you have all the sides are the same length. Okay, so on a rectangle by itself, does it have to have all the sides the same length? No, we said that it just had to have 4 right angles and 4 sides. On the square, it has all the sides that are the same length. So we know that a square is a rectangle, right? We also know, let's see, is it a parallelogram? Well, does it have two pairs of parallel sides and four sides? Yep, it's also a parallelogram, which means it's also a trapezoid. But the most specific name for this is a square because all the sides are the same length. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to look at these. Okay, and then we're just going to kind of go through them. So it says use the word bank to name each shape. Be specific as possible. Pause here and see if you can name all these as specific as possible. Okay. So if you were naming each one with its most specific name, hopefully you called this one a trapezoid. See how it has two sets of parallel sides, but these two would intersect eventually. And this one we would call a parallelogram because it has two sets of parallel sides, but you can see that none of these form a right angle. So I know it can't be a rectangle or a square. Then I can easily tell, well, this one's a square because all the sides are the same length and they all form 90-degree angles. And this one here must be a rectangle because it has the two sets of parallel lines and they're all 90-degree angles, but the sides aren't exactly the same, just like a square. Okay, so think about this. We have been working on classifying these quadrilaterals based on their parallel and perpendicular lines and whether or not they have like a 90-degree angle. So what makes a square different from a rectangle? Well, once again, squares have all the sides that are the same. They have the same exact length and they have the 90-degree angles. Rectangles don't have to have the same length sides, but they have to have the 90-degree angles. Let's see. So think about this in life. Think about these words. Like if I said woman, mother, sister, aunt. It's kind of like this when we categorize these things. So like a woman is only a mother if she has a child, and she only is a sister if her parents had another daughter, and she's only an aunt if she has a niece or nephew. So it's kind of like that. So something can kind of like a person can be more than one thing. These quadrilaterals are classified as more than one thing. So you're going to go to your quiz and answer your quiz questions. And that is all about quadrilaterals.